Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 21st to the 27th of July 2014. Now this is a really active week, so we need to keep ourselves centered and focused and purposeful because there's something big going on every day. So to begin with, we have Saturn turning direct on Monday, and this is the last time that Saturn will go direct in Scorpio this year. We've had Saturn in Scorpio for a couple of years now, going forwards and backwards and forwards again, and we've really been given a steer on our own psychology and our own core discipline. So not to get pulled into the external drama, but to actually return to centre and learn the lessons, to ask ourselves things like, what does this represent to me, or what am I learning here? And there's no corners cut with this, but there's great rewards to be had if you do the work. So Saturn moves into Sagittarius in December and will dip slightly back into Scorpio next year, but this is the last significant turning point of a 2.5-year cycle where we begin to go direct now and apply the knowledge. So Saturn is the disciplinarian, the Chronos, the god of time. It's all to do with structure, and we've been learning how to structure our subconscious and to actually go and face our inner motivations, manipulations, anything that's going on the inside, in the dark places, and bring it to light. This can have been shown to us by situations in our lives that bring things up, that represent things to us, but we've had a long haul now of actually being challenged to go in and be responsible for ourselves. So this is the last turning direct, and everything that you've learnt in the last couple of years can be put into practice, but hopefully you're feeling cleaner, straighter, more centred, more aligned, and more responsible and aware of all of that subconscious motivation that goes on in the background, so that you're not attracting to you drama and situations in order to have to face it, because the more we tackle the inside, the less the outside will bring us things to tackle. So that's Monday, and that takes us all the way through to December, Saturn turning direct in Scorpio. Then on Tuesday we have Uranus turning retrograde, so going in the opposite direction, and when a planet turns retrograde it takes us inwards. So when something goes direct, we can take what we've learnt on the inside and apply it, but when something goes retrograde, we're turned inwards with that energy. So Uranus is going retrograde in Aries, and Aries is a pioneering, go-getting, head-first, dynamic energy, and Uranus is a visionary rebel and a breakthrough energy. So we're taking that breakthrough and that vision and that dynamism inwards to see where we need to rewire our circuits, to see where we need to think differently, to see what is causing our thoughts on the outside, whenever our thoughts are out of alignment, to take that inwards and to actually rethink. So it's not following the program, it's not doing what you're told, it's not doing something just because you've always done it, but it's to go in and to think different and to be different. There's still a theme of responsibility here, because Uranus asks you to be responsible for who you are and what you're being and what you're transmitting. So that transmission can come from the mind and the heart, but sometimes we're just transmitting from a very old program and repeating the same old, same old. So if anything's been consistently coming up, now's the time to go in and actually say, well, do I even believe in the core thought that's causing this? Do I even want to carry on with that program? We can't fix things with the same thinking that got us into the situation. So this is time to be visionary, to actually look at what you really care about, what you're really passionate about, and slightly get over ourselves as well and have a think about our contribution to the group. So in the age of Aquarius, we need to be a solid individual that knows ourselves, but then also can step forwards and contribute to the whole. So it's not about losing ourselves in the group. That was the age of Pisces. Now it's about knowing yourself and then actively taking up the challenge to be part of the change. So the best way to deal with this, and it'll be a good few months, maybe 5 or 6 months, is to go in and look at what really makes you passionate. What do you care about? What would you like to see change in society? And then go and make those changes in your own thoughts. Come up with some inspiration and some vision of how you'd like things to be and how you'd like yourself to be in the new eon that we're walking into, and to actually have that sight, that long-sightedness and the caring of we're all in it together. So time to go and find that kind of spark inside and relight that and actually work with passion and vision. But it's not about changing things on the outside, protesting, all that kind of stuff. It's about actually going in and finding out what is really true to us first, so that when we do start to make the changes on the outside, they are actually what we want to see. Then on Wednesday we have the sun going into Leo, so this is the golden time of the year. The sun reached its height at the summer solstice, but the heat in the northern hemisphere reaches its height during the month of Leo, and Leo is ruled by the sun, so the sun is at home in this sign. It's a very golden and radiant aspect. We're coming out of the emotional waters of Cancer and we're lying in the sun and radiating that cellular heat. The life force energy in our bodies is what the sun is on the internal level. So it's time to get radiant, creative, expansive. And the day after the sun meets with Jupiter, which is a once in a year thing, but for the sun to meet Jupiter in Leo will just double that energy. So we have the sun into Leo on Wednesday and then meeting Jupiter on Thursday and Friday. So this is really a chance for anybody that has done all of that clearing out. We've had a lot of emotional probing and exploration. We've gone into the deep spaces, but now's a chance for us to actually expand into the room that we've made. We've cleared a lot of space, and now's the time to just enjoy that space and to practice being radiant beings and focus on creativity and heart-centered courage and strength. So a beautiful end to the week there with the sun going into Leo and then meeting straight away with Jupiter, which expands that even further. But it doesn't even stop there. By the weekend we have Mars going into Scorpio. This is a once in a 2-year aspect, and Mars is at home in Scorpio too, because Mars was the old ruler of Scorpio. So with Mars in Scorpio, this is a laser precision. This is a real piercing energy, that passion and that fire in the sign of transmutation and alchemical change. So we've got all this energy around us on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we've got a direction to put it into on Saturday, which is Scorpio, with Saturn just having turned direct in that sign, so that we're nice and strong and focused and well aligned. And now we can actually put some plans into action. But there's a piercingness, there's a real precision here. So we need to know what we care about. We need to know what we want to heal, what we want to change, what we want to burn out at the core, and what we want to put our passion towards. So this is a really powerful week with Saturn direct, Uranus retrograde, Sun into Leo, Sun meets Jupiter, and Mars into Scorpio. All of those happening day after day after day. This is not really a time to get caught up on the distractions, to get caught up on the own personality story, to get caught up with other people's business. This is a week to really keep it in your own sphere, because all these tools are coming in to help us really purge and expand and focus our energy on where it needs to be. So those are the horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week. It's lovely to be able to tune into what the planets are doing on a weekly basis and plan your day and focus your energy, but it's even more potent when you compare it to your own birth chart. So I wanted to say a few words about what is an astrology reading and the different types of reading that you can have. So if you've never had your birth chart done before, then please have a look at my What is an Astrology Reading video on the Learn Astrology playlist, because that will go into what it's all about, and there's some information on my website too. But essentially your birth chart is the position of the planets at your birth, which creates a core fabric according to all the angles and dimensions. So that actually is something that you designed, that you wanted to work with. It's all the buttons that can be pushed inside you, it's all the talents, and it's all the potential. And we can read that. So if you've never had your birth chart done before, that's the place to start, to actually be able to get to know your own chart and what it was that you wanted to focus on in this lifetime. After that, we can have a look at a forecast, which is taking your chart but seeing what's coming up with the current planets. And this gives you perspective and pacing, because some transits take a long time and other ones might just be for a couple of hours. So we can prioritise and pace ourselves. It's a little bit like a weather forecast. If you can see what's coming up, you can dress appropriately and act appropriately according to that phase. But it's also very cleansing, because you can let go of something that's finished without worrying and hanging on to it, thinking it's going to come back. So we can see what's coming up, how long for, what the energy's about, and how you can tune in and make the most effect. After that, there's a lovely reading which is to do with the moon cycles, because many people do things at the full moon, some people do things at the new moon, but they're dealing with the very generic full and new moons, just what that moon means to everybody. But you can actually have your own personal lunar calendar. Each new moon and each full moon and each dark moon in the year means something to you personally according to your own birth chart. So I can actually work with you to show you how you can actually plot a course throughout a year. Some full moons might highlight career, for example, and some new moons might be a time to start a new health plan. But that will be different between you and your friends according to your unique chart. So if we do this, you have 36 key moments in the year with 12 new moons, 12 full moons, and 12 dark moons, where you can initiate, reflect, and rinse accordingly to where that falls in your chart. And that way you're almost doing your yearly housekeeping. You're doing the right thing at the right time, and it leads to a sense of emotional harmony. The next reading I have is to do with deprogramming, because we've been programmed very, very heavily through the media and through society and through generations. There's decades of programming gone on where we're actually not the master of our own system. So it's very good for psychology, it's very good for personal health to actually have a look at some of the core beliefs that we're acting upon and bringing into our reality and manifesting. But it helps you, this reading, to go back and see the original core belief and whether it's true or not and what the options are, so that you can actually break free of decades of thought processes and beliefs that might not even be yours and that are manifesting things in your world that you don't want. So that's a kind of mental and physical health deprogramming reading that's on offer there. Another popular reading is the relationship realignment reading. So there's no set future, so this isn't about will I meet the right guy or will I get back with my ex. This is more to do with our perspective of the masculine and feminine. Are we being the complete, the divine aspect of ourselves to attract our complementary other? And again, there's a deprogramming aspect there to take all the fears out and the story of our relationship history, which is actually blocking us from connecting and flowing with the right soul. So a very popular reading there, relationship realignment, balancing the masculine and feminine and reconnecting to soul connection rather than personality clash. Then there's a soul purpose reading. We have actually many lives, and sometimes our past lives are affecting us, and sometimes our career isn't our sole purpose. This is another part of the program. Everybody seems to think, what should I be doing in life? But many charts show me that there's an essence of being. You can have a career, but that might not be your sole purpose. So what is it that you actually wanted to challenge yourself to become in this life? And that can be spiritual, that can be personal, that can be your effect on others, that can be lessons that you wanted to learn in order to expand your consciousness. So a soul purpose reading can look at your career potential as well, but it's more to do with what did you actually come here to step into. And then finally there are baby and pet charts, and they're smaller charts, but they're just looking at the young being and to see the potential that they're growing into. So with a baby chart, it's very, very useful for behavioural purposes. You can actually see whether they're going to need a tough discipline, or whether they're going to need a more empathetic approach, whether they're going to be very, very sensitive. When they start to develop hobbies, which ones will actually be lasting and which ones will be phases, and how they fit in with the family dynamic with their siblings and their parents as well. And with the pet readings, that's just good fun for dogs in particular. That's good for training, but it's just nice if you've got a pet and you know their time of birth, their date of birth, then it's quite a nice reading to just get to know your little familiar a bit better. So those are the main readings that I offer. There are other ones, and you are welcome to have a combination of all of those. But I just wanted to let you know that those are the options, because some people get confused when they go to my page and they don't know which one's right for them. But you can always email me on the address below, and I'm happy to answer your questions.